Good afternoon. Today we're going to talk about a few subjects that I think need some attention, put it that way. In previous videos I showed or demonstrated how I cut this Peter's honey quite extensively. I pruned it very harshly. I had to because it was growing up far too high for me to harvest the figs, and it's close to the house here and it was going to cause damage, and so, not root damage incidentally. So I thought that I would cut it back, which I have to do every third year or so. I have to give it a very, very harsh pruning. But you can see how this vigorous plant is putting on new growth, and here we are, we're still in May, towards the end of May, about a week away from Memorial Day. You can see how much new growth this tree is putting on. It's magnificent. It's magnificent. It is Peter's honey, which is, I just love Peter's honey. And you can also see that there's lots of little figlets already forming, if you can, if the focus is coming in, at the nodes. Look at them here. You can see, believe me, there will not be a node that doesn't have a fig on this tree. It would just be loaded. And these will grow 4, 5, 6 foot tall, and it'll be all with figs. Unfortunately, when you prune a tree this harshly, you do not get any breba. I didn't leave any branches, or not many, that would produce the first crop on last year's wood. And so, hey, you know, I call it my 2-in-1 method. Call it what you will. I let it grow for 2 years. I get breba and I get main crop figs. And then I have to cut it back that third year. And then the following year I will not get breba, but I'll get plenty of main crop figs. So if you are in a situation where you have to prune radically, I'm just showing you that with most varieties, it's a successful enterprise. Now, some trees don't take well to that, like Celeste, which only produces a main crop fig that stays on. The breba crop falls off all the time. But if you cut harshly, if you harshly cut back Celeste, which is one of my favorite in-ground fig tree varieties, that year you'll get these branches, but you won't get much fruit. It won't produce nearly as well as it would have had you left it alone. But you need to do what you need to do. And every variety is different. Celeste doesn't like being pruned harshly. The following year it'll be okay. But brown turkey and a lot of your Chicago hardy types, the Mount Etna types, and types like this particular Peter's honey, they do very well when you are forced. I don't like pruning extensively. I do not like it, but sometimes you're forced to do that. But now we're going to go into another talk here about something that I thought I would video for you. Here is a Ronde Bordeaux that I planted, and I grew it from a cutting 2 seasons ago, and it's growing, but it's not growing as vigorously as I like. And so I suspected something, and I wanted to talk to you about this, because this is extremely important. I suspected nematodes. Okay? Many times I hear people or read on the internet or see videos or whatever about questions regarding their trees lacking vitality and vigor, and they don't produce very well. I rarely hear anyone talking about what the problem might be very, very, very often, and that's nematodes. Now I was going to plant another tree here, a Smith, which I should have gotten out to show you. I'll probably walk around to get it in a little bit. But so I figured, well, I got a little bit of room here, And Smith is an experiment that I talked about in my previous video. I don't know if it's going to be able to survive in 7B. I'm told that Smith is not very winter hardy. It's particularly popular where it came from. It seems somewhere down in the Louisiana area. It's a wonderful fig, and I've talked about it, have videos on it. Other people have talked about it extensively. It's a great fig, wonderful. In pots, but in ground, well, I don't have any in ground, except for the ones that I grow using my ground bag method, which I have videos on. So I thought I would plant this one entirely in the ground, not just using the ground bag ground bag method. Now, I started digging. I had to move these stones, and then I had to cut this, which was a ground cloth to prevent weeds, and then I saw them, nematodes. I suspected that that's what's going on here with my Ronde Bordeaux, and there's no fig monster that will devour your figs more readily than nematodes. They are horrible. They are public enemy number one to fig trees. Now here you can see those little nodules? I don't know if you can see it. I'll move the camera back and forth to try and gain some focus. But here I put some in a little bucket. Here. Let me see if I can get some up here so you can see them a little better. Here. You can see these little nodules, and that's the root knot nematode. Here, I put them in a bucket so you'd be able to see against the white background, it'd be more contrast. I want to be able to show you. You can see those little nodules, those little circles or round nodules. Try and get a little closer. They are the root knot. They are the damage that is caused by the root knot nematode, and that's why they call it root knot. They put like little knots. Let's see if you can get a better view there. It's horrible. It's a horrible disease. And what happens is these nematodes devour the tiny little capillary roots, the tiny little roots. They'll eat the big ones too, but they really wreak havoc on the little roots. And as they spread, they just devour them. And then they get to the other roots and they start to eat them too, even the larger ones. And so your tree is not going to experience very much growth, not when they're being attacked by root knot nematodes. Now the root knot nematodes are even in 7A. I don't know about other colder zones, but in New Jersey, I've got root knot nematodes there too. I've seen them. There's no question about it, period. And when you do research, you find that they're in Pennsylvania and lots of states, in colder states, okay? So the way you do it is you just simply, if you suspect that you might have nematodes, which is one of the worst diagnoses for a fig tree, you just dig. You dig around them and you look. And you're going to find, when you finally dig down, look at this. Look at that. Oh my gosh. This is a good example. Look at that. I hope you can see that. Look at those root knot nematodes. Let's try and get some in the light there. Can you see that? Look at that. Coming right off this tree. I suspected that they were here. This is a bad situation. It's not easily remedied. In fact, it's almost impossible to remedy once they get bad like this. Now, if the roots went down deep, if there weren't any at the time of the planting, and the roots went down deep, they don't generally go too deep, but once they get into your fig tree, they're just going to spread from root to root. And you might just say it's an eventual forget about it. Your fig tree is not going to do very well. Okay, now there are some commercial remedies on the market, and I've used a couple here and there now and then through the years, and I try to use the ones that aren't too harsh. I don't like using chemicals at all, and there's some that they say that, you know, they're environmentally friendly, but I haven't gotten good results with them, to be honest with you. Okay, some people plant marigolds. They say that marigolds chase away forget about it. You know, when you got a tree like this, the best thing to do is what I thought about doing yesterday, and I'm going to show you. And I don't like using this stuff either, but I went out and got a big bag of garden soil, Miracle-Gro garden soil, okay? And I was thinking about digging out the hole as deep as I could and wide, which I don't like doing either, and I've made videos about that. I like slipping in a root ball as tight as I possibly can because compressed roots make for more fruit, and I have better luck that way. But what was I going to do? Well, I've kind of abandoned the idea altogether. I went over to another tree. You know, these trees fortunately don't have nematodes, and they're doing quite well. Oh, you know what? I want to go back. You might say, well, where did these nematodes come from? Well, interestingly enough, this large tree, this Peter's honey, okay, which has been here for 27, 28 years, a long time. Okay, I planted it. The roots, some of which grew along here, grew along the house, and all the way through, and those were the roots that had the nematodes, and apparently they were in the area where I planted this Rondi Bordeaux, this baby Rondi Bordeaux. So I'm going to try one of those commercial nematode preventative products on the market. They don't claim to eradicate the nematodes, but they sort of claim to control them. I want to save this Rondi Bordeaux if I can. Once the roots get really large and through, and possibly I'll get a few years of good production out of it. And then I'll just have to dig it up and plant more roses. Okay? Sometimes you have to accept defeat. You know, I'm not going to use a harsh chemical. You can use organophosphates like Nemacure, which they outlawed not long ago, and I don't use that. I won't use it. And you have to have a license, a farmer's license to buy it anyway. But I would never use it because it's such a harsh chemical. Organophosphate's not a good idea. Okay? It's sort of, it was the commercial remedy, I think, for the banning of certain harsh chemicals like DDT, and they came up with a slightly different molecular formula, and they said, okay, we can use this. These are organophosphates. You know what? They're bad. They're very bad. Or why would they have just banned them? Even on golf courses and places like that where they eat, the nematodes eat the lawns and things. Okay? There was a reason, because they're bad. Stay away from them. So, let's go over here. My heart of Chicago is doing fabulously well, as it always does. Look at that new growth, how beautiful. You can see there's no nematodes, there's no problem here. This tree will produce abundantly. But I dug a hole here next to this tree, and these are roots, but these are not nematode roots. These are just roots from the grass, which is mostly weeds. But I think I'm going to just dig out that hole pretty big and mix in some of that Miracle-Gro garden soil and plant my tree. Let's take a little quick walk around here. Hey, I'll give you another look at my San Pedro Desert King, known as Desert King, but again, I said that name probably was morphed. Originally, I believe it was Desert King, when it was widely discovered in California, and it was a sensation. Look how beautiful that is. Look at all the figs on this thing, and all of these figs are going to get ripe by the 4th of July, and within a week after the 4th of July. That's it. And I covered this in one of my videos recently. I just wanted you to take a look at it. We can do a quick review there. Quick update. And we'll walk around here. Look how abundantly this thing produces. Okay. Here we have some Adriatics. Here's another little Peter honey. We'll go through here very quickly, and we'll get my Smith that I want to plant. Bring it over here. And so what I'm going to do is dig out this hole. You can see that this ground is very, very sandy. By the way, nematodes love sandy ground. They really do. I've seen some videos on YouTube talking about, yes, plant your figs in sandy ground. Don't do it. Not a good idea. You want a rich, loamy ground soil. You don't want a sandy soil. If you live in a place where you have it and you can't change it, well, that's another matter. You can dig out a large piece like I'm going to do and put in some Miracle-Gro soil and mix it, or go buy bags of topsoil and mix it all in. You can do things like that and make a nice root ball in there, because putting your figs in sandy soil is a very, very bad idea. Don't do it. They don't do well in sand. Please do not do it. And it dries out so quick. Look at that. It dries out so quick. Look at that. Terrible. You want a rich, organically based soil with lots of humus and things like that. Okay. Lots of organic materials. So, I guess I'll end this video. I've got my hands full here. I just wanted you to get a good idea of what this is all about. If you suspect that you're having problems that you can't quite understand about your fig trees not having the vigor that you feel that they should, many, many times, a far greater percentage than most of us would ever imagine, it's because of nematodes. With that, good day.